My name is Vesper Alina Cross. I'm 32, and last night I watched my fiancé dismantle our engagement with a smile and a ring light. It was supposed to be his guy's night. I was home, hair up, spreadsheets open, trying to convince our budget that flowers didn't cost the same as used cars. I got bored. I scrolled. That's when the notification popped up. Carlo Leone is live, spilling tea, pre-wedding shenanigans. Carlo is Adrian's friend who makes volume a personality. I tapped out of curiosity. Frame opens on a messy coffee table. Cans, takeout boxes. The kind of bachelor chaos I used to pretend I'd never have to live with. Carlo's in the center, phone held high. On the couch, Adrian, Jaden, and Marco. Music low, bravado high. At first it's harmless. Venue jokes. Suits versus tuxes. Carlo waves the phone like a scepter. So, Adrian, how's the future Mrs. Cross holding up? Still doing that adorable thing where she triple checks every spreadsheet? They laugh. Adrian smirks into his beer. She's organized. Say it with your chest, Marco cackles. Jaden leans in. Be real. How's Miss Perfect really doing? Adrian exhales like a martyr. She's so... He makes a halo with his fingers. Clueless sometimes. Thinks weddings are boxes to tick. Budgets, timelines, seating charts. No idea about the real stuff. Carlo whoops. Training program starts after the honeymoon, am I right? Day 1, Adrian says. Out with the apartment beige, in with the dream house. She'll fund it, though. Girl's got a great salary. He clinks bottles with Jaden. She's manageable. It wasn't the words alone. It was the tone, not teasing. Contempt wearing a varsity jacket. My chest didn't explode. It narrowed. Something cold climbed the ladder of my spine and sat down at my shoulder. I stared at the chat flying by. Laughing emojis, fire emojis, the casual gawking of strangers who don't know the cost of what they're watching. Jaden sing-songs. You've got her wrapped, bro. Predictable. Safe. She'd never suspect a thing. Carlo nudges the camera closer. Adrian chuckles and tilts his head, the expression I once called charming. She thinks I'm her sweet, boring angel. They all howl. Somebody spills a drink. The mic crackles. I don't remember deciding to type. My fingers were already there. Vesper Cross, verified. Am I? On screen, Carlo's face changes first. Eyes darting to the chat. He elbows Adrian. Adrian. Adrian squints at the comments. The smirk melts. He says my name like it's a prayer he forgot the words to. Vesper? I typed again. The letters came out clean, even, surgical. Vesper Cross. Since you're sharing with everyone, clarity for everyone, the wedding is off. Engagement ended. Please fund your dream house with someone else. Have a good night. Silence ripped through the room. Carlo fumbled. Marco swore. Jaden reached for the phone. Adrian's mouth moved without sound. Then the feed jittered, stuttered, and died. My phone detonated. Adrian. Vess, answer. Please pick up. It was a joke. Deborah, his mother. Call me now. This is not how adults behave. Carlo. It was banter. You're overreacting. Unknown numbers. Pings. Missed calls. The sound of a story trying to stuff itself back into a closet. I put my phone face down on the table. The ring we designed together. Custom setting. Tiny sapphires tucked under the diamond like secret constellations. Glittered from its dish. It looked heavy. It felt heavier. 15 minutes later, the doorbell went off in an angry, insistent peal. I watched them arrive on the doorbell camera I installed after a neighbor's package walkabout. Adrian, flushed and frantic. Deborah, hair perfect. Fury immaculate. I opened the door with the chain on. Vesper, Adrian said, breathless. It was jokes. Carlo pushes. You know that. It's nothing. Nothing, I repeated. I am manageable now, and clueless, and my salary will fund your dream house after you train me. That's not... He scrubbed his face. I was showing off. I was stupid. I love you. Deborah elbowed him aside like a lawyer entering cross-examination. Young lady, you have humiliated my son over a silly prank. You cannot end a wedding in a comment section. We have deposits paid. Guests invited. You will retract. With respect, I said, and meant none, your son publicly humiliated me to an audience while outlining his plan to manage me and my paycheck. I won't be retracted into that. Adrian reached for the door. The chain held, bright and unbothered. Let us talk inside, please, in private. Privacy ended when you picked a live stream over a conversation, I said. We'll keep it consistent. Deborah's voice sharpened. Do you know how this looks? You're making a scene. You went live, I said. I'm making a decision. She sneered. You always were controlling. Those spreadsheets. The way you... She fluttered her fingers. Correct receipts. Those spreadsheets paid the deposits you're so worried about, I said, and they're about to pay my lawyer. Adrian flinched. Vess, don't do this. You're angry. I'm not angry, I said, and watched both of them register the danger of that. I'm clear. He dropped his eyes. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean manageable, Adrian? Silence. Our hallway swallowed it, then handed it back. Deborah recovered first. This is outrageous. You will fix this. We will meet with the venue in the morning and we will discuss your apology. No, I said. She blinked. Excuse me? No, I repeated. The wedding is off. The engagement is over. You may email me about logistics. Nothing else. Deborah's control cracked. Do you have any idea what people will think? That you raised a son who performs contempt on the internet, I said, and that I declined to marry it. Her mouth opened, then shut. Adrian's eyes glossed. For a second, I saw the man I fell for, nervous, funny, tender with his hands. Then I remembered those hands clinking bottles while he sold me for laughs. Please, he said, Vess, don't do this here. I thought of the camera watching us, the red ring, a tiny, loyal planet. Here is exactly where you did it. I slid the door closed to the chain. Deborah's voice pitched up. We're not finished. We are, I said through the wood. You can email me. I shut the door, turned the new deadbolt I'd installed when he first moved in. Habit, not prophecy. The lock clicked like a period. The banging came in a few more waves, then ebbed. Tires on gravel. Silence returned, not empty, earned. I set the ring back on the dish and opened a fresh document. Title, Timeline. 8:13 p.m. in Carlo's livestream begins. 8:27 p.m. She's so clueless, manageable, salary funds, dream house. 8:29 p.m. I comment. Am I? 8:30 p.m. I end engagement and comments. 8:47 p.m. Doorbell. Adrian plus Deborah at door. Confrontation. Doorbell cam saved. 8:55 p.m. Door secured. Lawyering begins. I dragged the screen recording of the live into a folder named Evidence, pulled my receipts for deposits into another, took a screenshot of Deborah's texts, "This is not how adults behave," and labeled it Pressure. My phone lit again. Carlo on social, posting a story of a blank black screen captioned, "People can't take a joke these days." I resisted the urge to respond. Let the internet argue with itself. I had facts. The apartment felt new despite nothing changing. Same couch, same lamp, same photo of us on the bookshelf, his chin on my hair, my smile too sure of its future. I didn't take it down. I turned it face down. A pause, not a bonfire. I brewed tea I wouldn't drink and stood at the window while the city stitched lights into the night. Somewhere, Carlo was practicing a different version of the story. Somewhere, Deborah was dialing other mothers, harvesting outrage. Somewhere, Adrian was learning that jokes have edges. In my head, I heard my father again, the way he sounded when he sat me on the kitchen counter after my first breakup. When people tell you their plans for you, listen to the verbs. Manage, train, fund. I exhaled. The steam ghosted the glass and disappeared. I wasn't shaking, I wasn't shouting, I was filing, a different kind of power. My inbox chimed, an email from an address I didn't recognize. Samuel and Crane, LLP. Subject line, urgent. Engagement dispute. Adrian Romano v. Vesper Cross. Quick, I thought. Of course, I didn't open it. Not tonight. Instead, I wrote one line at the bottom of my timeline. Tomorrow, call Christine Hale. Then I powered down the phone, slid the ring into a small velvet box, and set it beside my passport. I'd decide later what to do with both. In bed, the dark pressed soft and even. The quiet wasn't lonely. It was a room with the wrong furniture finally emptied. Somewhere inside that quiet, a truth settled like a coin at the bottom of a glass. I hadn't lost anything essential tonight. I'd found it. By morning, the city had reset itself, but my phone had not. Overnight, it grew heads like a hydra. Unknown numbers, subject lines with urgency baked into them, the kind of messages that try to kick down your front door from the inside of a screen. I didn't answer. Instead, I made coffee, opened my timeline, and added a new line. 9:06 a.m. Retain counsel. I called Christine Hale, a woman whose voice sounds like clean glass. We'd met once at a fundraiser. She told a story about bad actors and good paper trails that stayed with me because of how simply she ended it. They ran into the facts. I sketched what happened. She listened. No gasp, no rush, just the quiet clicks of someone setting files in the right drawer. "Do you have the live?" she asked. "Screen recording," I said. "Doorbell video too." "Good. Don't engage further. Route all communication to me. And Vesper?" "Yes?" "Open a fresh email account. Forward everything relevant to it. Think fireproof cabinet." I hung up, made the burner inbox, and started the transfers. The Samuel and Crane email was first. Their client, Adrian Romano, sought mediation regarding reputational harm and emotional distress, along with equitable reimbursement for non-refundable wedding expenses. The number attached, $10,000 for deposits, half of which were mine, plus $5,000 for his suffering. I forwarded it to Christine with a single line, attaching comedy. By 11, I was in a rideshare headed to my office. The driver, a woman with a silver braid and a stern jaw, had a radio station tuned to the kind of music that makes you feel like your spine is a metronome. We rolled to the curb, and I saw them through the glass of the lobby, Adrian and Deborah. He looked rumpled and raw, clutching a phone like a lifeline. She was a statue of controlled wrath, lips thin, eyes betraying the adrenaline beneath. The security guard's face wore the expression of a man wishing to be anywhere else. Deborah clocked me first and raised her hand in a queenly wave that wasn't a wave at all. "Vesper," she said, voice carrying, "you cannot hide behind emails. We're here to resolve this like adults." "We are adults," I said. "That's why I brought an adult word." I pointed at the floor mat. "Lobby, not the place for this. Please leave." Adrian reached for me. "Can we talk? Just 5 minutes, please." "We had an audience last night," I said. "We'll keep the crowd smaller today. Myself and my lawyer." Deborah pivoted to the front desk. "Get her manager," she ordered the receptionist. "She's creating a hostel." "Ma'am," the guard said gently, "you need to step back." It took 10 minutes and a security escort to move them outside. 10 minutes in which I learned how elastic humiliation can be, how it can stretch across polished floors and very polite voices and still snap. I went upstairs, closed my office door, leaned my forehead against the cool glass of the window, and breathed out an apology to the day for what it had already been asked to hold. Christine replied to the firm with a letter so spare it could have doubled as a blade. "Your client publicly expressed contempt for my client and the engagement's good faith premise. My client terminated. Any deposits Adrian paid remain his issue. Any reputational harm is self-inflicted." She attached the live, clipped to the exact moments the judge in my head already cared about. Clueless, manageable, fund my dream house. She CC'd me with a note. "You did the right thing yesterday. Today we make it stick." At lunch, the bank called. A pleasant man named Elliot asked if I'd attempted to charge $812 in luxury skincare at a department store and $965 for a watch. "No," I said. "An authorized user attempted, cards declined. We've frozen the profile." Authorized user. Months ago, I'd added Adrian to a store card for wedding emergencies. I'd pulled his access from every obvious place last night. This was a creature from the deeper, murkier waters. "Remove him, permanently. Please flag any attempts." "Already done," Elliot said. "You'll receive affidavits." I hung up, labeled a new folder, Financial Pokes, and dropped the bank emails into it. The folder felt like the beginning of a longer story nobody sane wants to write. At 3, my HR director, Maya, pinged me. "Can you step into my office?" Her face was gentle but tight. "We received an anonymous email alleging controlling behavior and possible financial impropriety at work. We have to do a cursory check." My stomach fell one floor and landed upright. "From Adrian's people," I said. "His friend Carlo has a zeal for mess. His mother has a Rolodex." Maya sighed. "I figured. We'll be discreet. I'm sorry." I handed her a printout of Christine's letter, the screenshots of the live, a short typed statement. Retaliation after I ended an engagement in response to public contempt and implied financial exploitation. The facts sat there like calm anchors. The check took 2 days. It came back empty, of course, but I still woke at 3 a.m. both nights, heart galloping, thinking about how quickly a lie can grow legs if no one nails it to the floor. I wrote a sentence in my journal in the blue light. They want drama. Give them documentation. On day 3, Christine sent a cease and desist to Adrian, to Deborah, to Carlo. It was precise. Stop contacting my client. Stop inducing others to contact her. Stop spreading demonstrably false statements. Stop attempting to access her finances. It included consequences that carried the clean, cold ring of a courtroom. Adrian's reply came not as a letter, but as a long, wet voicemail in which he called me heartless for dragging lawyers into love, then pivoted to, we can still fix this, then landed on, you owe me for what you've done to my reputation. I transcribed it, saved the audio, and did not reply. That night I opened Instagram and saw Carlo's story, a black screen with white text. Some people can't handle strong men joking with their friends. A minute later, Deborah posted in a neighborhood group a veiled rant about women who perform control under the guise of boundaries. I took screenshots, wrote defamation, soft, and kept scrolling until the feed was just food and dogs again. The next morning, HR called me back to say the anonymous allegations were dismissed and that any further anonymous emails would be filtered to a folder no one checks without a subpoena. I thanked Maya and walked to the restroom to splash cold water on a face that was, frankly, tired of being composed. On the way back, I passed my reflection in the hallway glass. I looked like someone who had collected a lot of gravity in a short time. I didn't hate it. I wished it on no one. I kept walking. At home, I took down the face-down shelf photo and slid it into a drawer. Not rage, curation. The ring stayed in its box beside my passport. I had not decided what its end should look like. Melt it, sell it, sink it in a whiskey glass on a Tuesday. Options are a kind of wealth. At dusk, Christine called. We're done asking nicely. We're filing for a restraining order, harassment, attempted financial fraud, reputational interference. We'll attach the live, the doorbell video, the bank notices, HR's dismissal, the barrage of burner calls. I hate this, I said. Not about the filing, about the whole tragic diagram of it. I know, she said. But you'll love the quiet after. We assembled affidavits, my statement, the bank's, HR's, the building's security log from the lobby incident. Maya agreed to a brief sworn statement about the anonymous email. My neighbor, who had peered through her peephole during Deborah's front porch aria, sent along a line about the volume and threats of calling her boss. Facts, neat as stitches. 2 nights later, as I stood on my balcony holding the kind of silence you have to earn, my phone vibrated with a number I knew by muscle memory. I answered without saying hello. Vess, Adrian said, voice small for once. I'm sorry. Carlo is an idiot. My mom. I panicked. I'm not that guy. I watched a moth fling itself at the porch light until it realized the light would not love it back. You were that guy, I said, when it counted. Another silence. Can we meet? Just to talk. No Carlo. No live streams, please. Email Christine, I said, and ended the call. I set the phone down like it was something fragile I didn't want to own anymore. The hearing date came in by email. 2 weeks. The court name rendered in sterile font. Christine's calendar invite arrived 1 minute later. I accepted. Before bed, I opened the file tree on my laptop. Evidence, financial pokes, defamation, soft, pressure, timeline, HR, security, and felt a strange ease at the sight of the folders. Not because of what they contained, but because of how precisely they did it. I backed the whole thing to 2 separate places. Belt, suspenders. I wrote one more line in my journal. I will not argue with the wind. I will stack stones and let the wind argue with them. Then I turned off the light, slid under the quilt, and slept like someone who had finally chosen the kind of peace you defend in daylight and set by your door at night, like a guard dog with perfect hearing. 2 weeks later, I found myself standing in the echoing hall of the county courthouse, the air too cold and too clean, the kind that smells like paper and judgment. I wasn't nervous. Not really. Just alert. That new kind of calm that comes when you know everything that can explode already has. Christine met me by the vending machines, navy suit immaculate, hair in a knot sharp enough to cut. She handed me a small folder. Just in case you need to remind yourself why we're here, she said. Inside were the screenshots, the live stream transcript, the bank emails, the HR closure notice, the proof that every messy accusation was only wind against stone. At 9:42 a.m., we walked into Courtroom 3C. On the left bench sat Adrian, his mother Deborah, and his attorney, Mr. Samuel, the same man who'd once emailed me about emotional distress. He didn't look confident now. Carlo sat in the back row, chewing on a straw like he wished he were invisible. When the judge entered, the room shifted from gossip to gravity. He was older, deliberate, voice like gravel smoothed by years of repetition. We all stood, sat, waited for the sound of the gavel. Christine went first. Her voice didn't rise. It sliced. "This case," she began, "is not about heartbreak. It's about harassment." She played a clip of the live stream. The laughter, the words clueless, manageable, fund my dream house. Then she played the recording of Deborah's shouting at my door, the voicemail about humiliating her son, the screenshots of burner texts, the fraudulent credit card attempts, and the report confirming false workplace claims. Adrian stared straight ahead, knuckles white. When Christine mentioned the anonymous email to HR, Deborah hissed, "We never—" But the judge held up a hand. "Quiet, ma'am." Then came the moment that cracked the veneer. Christine turned toward Carlo. "Your Honor," she said, "we have evidence that Mr. Leone, at the request of either Mr. Romano or his mother, distributed false statements to Ms. Cross's professional contacts." Carlo's eyes widened. I didn't send those messages." Before his lawyer could stop him, Deborah leaned forward. "You told me you did," she snapped. The sound that followed wasn't laughter. It was air leaving the room. The judge sighed. "Ms. Romano, please don't help your case." Christine didn't even smile. She simply handed over the printed posts. "For the record, Your Honor." Mr. Samuel tried to recover. He painted Adrian as heartbroken, impulsive, a man provoked into defensive acts by humiliation. The judge listened, unimpressed. Then he asked the question that ended it. "Mr. Romano, did you or did you not publicly refer to your fiancée as manageable during a live broadcast viewed by others?" Adrian's jaw tightened. "I was joking." The judge leaned forward. "And the emails? The card misuse? The workplace interference?" Adrian's silence answered better than any confession could. The verdict was brief. "Restraining order granted," the judge said. 1 year, renewable upon violation. No contact, direct or indirect. No third-party messaging, social or otherwise." He turned to Deborah. "That includes you, Ms. Romano." Her mouth opened, closed. Carlo looked ready to evaporate. Mr. Samuel muttered something about noting our objections. Christine thanked the judge, crisp and final. As we left the courtroom, Adrian called my name, not loud, not angry, just broken. "Vesper." I stopped but didn't turn. He said, "I didn't think it would end like this." I replied without looking at him. "That's the thing about endings. You don't get to rehearse them." And then I walked out. Outside, sunlight hit me like something earned. The world looked the same, but I wasn't standing in it the same way. Christine touched my arm. "It's over." I nodded. "Not yet, but quieter." She smiled, small and knowing. That's how it starts. The aftermath came in fragments, each quieter than the last. The venue dispute settled. Both sides forfeited deposits. The florist sent a polite sympathy card, tucked with a store credit. Christine's office forwarded me a letter from Mr. Samuel, officially confirming no further pursuit. Even my phone learned the rhythm of stillness again. No unknown numbers, no new notifications flashing like alarms. I started sleeping through the night, started cooking again, stopped checking every sound like it was danger dressed as a ringtone. One Saturday, I pulled out the velvet ring box, opened it, closed it, then walked it to a jeweler and sold it without ceremony. The check wasn't big, but it was clean. With it, I paid off the last shared bill, bought a new doorbell system, and booked a weekend by the coast. No Bali this time, just cliffs and air and no one expecting anything from me. There, I took a photo of the ocean, dark, endless, forgiving, and posted it with one caption. "Married today, self-respect." No tags, no comments enabled, just silence that spoke for itself. Weeks passed. I rebuilt my circle carefully. Some friends gone by quiet mutual agreement, others staying like furniture that survives a move. When people asked how I was, I said, "lighter," and I meant it. Every now and then, someone would whisper updates. Adrian had moved back home. Carlo deleted his accounts. Deborah was reevaluating her boundaries. I didn't gloat. I didn't care. Because consequences aren't revenge, they're gravity. And everything that goes up without honesty eventually falls. On what would have been our wedding day, I woke before sunrise. The calendar pinged out of habit. Ceremony, 2 p.m. I laughed once, softly, and turned off the alert. Then I made coffee, opened my window, and let the wind in. It carried the scent of rain and something new. Something that didn't smell like fear or performance. I sat at my kitchen table, same chair where I'd once watched a live feed dismantle a future and thought, he called me clueless. He was wrong. I was just quiet, listening. And when the truth was loud enough, I acted. That's not clueless, that's clarity. I closed my laptop, poured my coffee into a mug that said do not disturb, and finally, honestly, didn't.